Mariners' first 4 games out there in Seattle. 10:10 tonight is going to be your first pitch. We are being preempted on Saturday night. By we, I mean me and Corey Roddick and Pat Butler. We've been doing a Saturday night metal show at 10 o'clock called 2 Hours to Midnight. And because of the lateness of the Guardians game, it'll be a 9:40 first pitch on this Saturday. So we'll be preempted, and we'll return in all of our metal glory next Saturday night. You can find all of the week's playlists, by the way, if you're not able to listen live. You can go to WMMS.com, just hit the on-air section there, or go to the 2 Hours to Midnight Facebook page. And if you're a local band, you can always submit. If there's just something you want us to play, you can submit to htm@WMMS.com. Hey, Jane, hello.
Hi.
Hi.
I have 2 points I want to make. Bill, as a parent of a trans child, you are woefully not up to date on what actually is happening. Gender affirming care is the approach that most of them take. You do not have to have multiple appointments. You do not have to have all the psychiatric things done. It's called affirmation, meaning if a child says they're trans, they're trans.
Yeah, I know.
Google it. Wait. Second point. I'm sorry to tell you this, but they do surgery on children. They do bottom surgery. They do top surgery on both boys and girls. Google it. Someone literally just sued the hospital like a month ago because she was an underage child, and they pushed her through and did surgery on her. So you're woefully uninformed on that.
Jane, what do you mean by children? Happen. What do you mean by children,
Anybody
Jane?
under 18. Anyone under 18. So this thought that they do not perform a gender reassignment surgery on children is not true. There have been children as young as 13 this has been done to. You know what? They perform a double mastectomy on a girl and call it top surgery. Look it up. Please Google it.
I can't. I'm Googling it right now, and I'm not seeing any results of this actually happening.
No, you're wrong. Put in trans. It was a girl who was a trans boy who has since detransitioned, is suing for this. There's no way you're not finding this result. If you want me to, I'll email you the information.
Please do.
I'm
Jane,
not lying.
Jane, how old is she? How old is she now?
I don't, you know what? I can't remember if she's 18 now, but it happened all when she was a child. Second of all.
So what you're saying is that, wait. What you're saying is that 5 years ago, when she was 13 years old, was it done with parental?
I believe she was 13.
Was it done with parental consent?
Yes, it was done with parental consent, but you know as well as I know that studies prove, and listen, an adult doesn't fully form their brain until like 25.
That's been debunked.
It's all Jane. Hey, Jane. Wait a second. I'm trying to get in here. That's not that 25 thing is just made up. That's not. That's something that's been debunked.
Okay.
Second of all, Jane, are you saying that parents, because what's at issue in a lot of these states is that they're saying we're protecting the kids and parents should be able to make their own decisions. You're saying, Jane, listen to me now. I listen to you. Listen to me. Are parents, if they give parental consent, is that their right?
No.
So parents should not be able to make these. Who should make the decisions? Jane, who should make the decisions for their children?
Speak for a minute. Do you know that most parents are pushed into agreeing to it because they are told that their children will kill themselves? And
what do you mean, most parents?
You guys need to research. I've researched.
Jane,
I've done all the research. I have a trans child.
Jane, what do you mean? Jane, what do you mean by most parents?
Listen to this.
Okay, thank you, Jane.
If you're going
to tell Bill Squire that he didn't do any research or investigation when his child said, "I'm in the wrong body,"
I sat in.
Most parents is a very vague. So what Jane is saying is, because you keep moving the chains on this, parents should not be able to decide for their kids. It's not up to the parent. I don't know who it should be up to because I couldn't get a word in edgewise with Jane. Because a lot of these people are saying the parents should be able, and then you go, okay, well, what if parents think that that's the best move? Nope.
I mean, in most cases, and there's always going to be outliers,
Of course.
but there's not gender reassignment surgery on minors.
No, there's not this
It's not
wave
happening.
of 13-year-olds that are getting top surgery. It's just not happening.
I think what she was saying was...
I don't know what the hell
parents
she was saying.
Well, I think
I got to be able to talk. A conversation is back and forth.
she was saying that parents are like shamed into it. Like, I can't believe you won't support your transgender son or daughter.
Well, then buck up, homie.
Well, I'm just saying, like,
You're not going to advocate for your kid?
Well, I'm
shamed into it by a doctor.
But if
Yeah, you're right. That's probably what she was saying.
I'm not talking about from a doctor.
But that's got nothing to do with trans rights issues.
But most parents, if a kid comes up to them saying, like, this is how I'm feeling, and if you don't do this for me, I'm going to kill myself. Most parents want to protect their child. They want to take action, so they want to do everything they can to make sure their child feels like themselves.
Correct,
Right.
but they're purporting this notion that if that conversation happens, you make an appointment with your doctor and walk right in and they chop your breasts off.
But no,
and that's not what's happening.
Some people would say, oh, well, I will put my child into therapy, but the public would shame them saying, like, oh, well, clearly this child's trans. I can't believe you won't support your trans son.
What public is shaming people? The public is shaming people? There are all kinds of people who go through therapy, and some kids come to the conclusion that that's not what they want to do. They start out there, and yeah, you do, and Jane alluded to it, you do have some people who detransition.
Mm-hmm.
And boy, the right wing loves them. Think about it. I think about it in much the same way as homosexual men in the 50s who couldn't come out of the closet, so they got married.
Mm-hmm.
Either because of social mores or their religion, their church, whatever, got married, had kids. These were men who could not, and women too, lesbian women, who could not live the way they wanted to live. And then, when the culture and catches up to kind of where then they come out when they're 75 or whatever. So yeah, they got to tell their kids, they finally have a few good years left at the end when they can be 80 and out. So, yes, there are tons of different situations with people. But this notion that it is trying to grab front page headlines on foxnews.com that kids, like there's a drive-through for gender reassignment surgery somewhere.
Right.
It's not the case.
My only gripe with transgenders is when they transition to male and they're hotter than me. I've been male longer. I feel like I got seniority. I want to be hotter than they are.
Seniority.
He has tenure.
I want to be hotter. I want to be hotter than they are. They can't have abs all sculpted. I'm like, you bought that. That's not fair. You ain't playing fair.
They didn't buy the abs.
I don't care. I'm going to say it. I'm going to discredit them with that. You ain't playing fair.
Yeah, well, life's not fair. Who said life was fair?
Nah, I don't care. Why can't it be fair?
You're buying your abs.
Oh, with Orange Theory Fitness?
Yes.
I'm not buying my abs.
Yes,
I go
you
work
are.
out. It's hard work. It's discipline and
that's buying them.
A science-backed workout.
You're paying for it. I mean, you're not paying for it, but I mean, you will be. Anybody paying for a gym membership is buying their abs.
But they could just easily get an implant or something. And
they easily get an implant. And nothing easier than ab implants.
I would just like to correct you on one thing, Alan. You said that people go to therapy all the time and keep it in their family and don't talk about it in, like Cody said, in society. And that's not how therapy works. If you're not going to therapy and crying about it on your Instagram story, it doesn't count. And you don't actually get better.
Pixar didn't happen?
Yeah, pretty
all
much.
Right.
So I just wanted you to know that if you do not approach strangers in the grocery store, your therapy is not valid. So.
Also.
Are you still talking to old people in the frozen food section?
Of course I am.
Oh, are you really?
I'm never going to stop doing
I don't
that.
know.
Also, what
well,
age?
Maybe there was a phase.
No.
What age does the human brain develop?
I don't know.
It depends on the person. Probably.
Yeah, I mean, there is a point to be made that it's not fully developed. But this notion that like 25 or 23, that's kind of plucked out of thin air. And it's also a bad faith argument to say that no parents shouldn't because they're young. Was she trying to tell me that a 25-year-old had a 13-year-old? I don't know what she was trying to say there, but she was really throwing a lot into the pot.
And
then moving on to the next half-baked notion.
Yeah. my experience with my son was he came out to me. I told his mom. We took him to an endocrinologist, and they put us on a plan where he would meet with that endocrinologist and a therapist that specialized in, gender. I don't even know.
I don't even know what you were
yeah. And so we met with the endocrinologist regularly, and then we met with the therapist weekly for years.
How long would you say, just so people can get an idea?
I mean, it started
from the point when she told you. Well, when he told you to now.
I mean, that was when he was 12 years old. He's 20 now, so it's been 8 years, and it was a slow process. It was, mostly him telling us, and then he started dressing more masculine. So that's part of the gender affirming care, is that he would dress more masculine. He got his hair cut a certain way, and he wanted us to refer to him with a, as, he, and we just moved slowly along. And by the time it got to when he was starting to take, he was past the point of puberty blockers, but he was on certain medications, started taking testosterone, but it had been years in therapy and working with an endocrinologist to get to that point. It's like Alan said, it's not some drive-through where you just go through and say, hey, this kid's trans.
And it's
what are we doing?
expensive. It's not cheap.
Listen.
Yeah, I know.
There is
it's not cheap to do.
There is a debate to be had. There is no one side to this, right? There are all kinds of studies that will say, look, transitioning does not necessarily mitigate your mental health risks or concerns. What really does that is when society becomes more accepting of people,
and
when there's less of a stigma, so they work in concert. But there is a debate to be had. I know that there is kind of a rubber stamp right-wing opinion, and there's a rubber stamp left-wing opinion, and neither one of those are absolute.
Right. But the caring is the most important part, is not just writing it off and saying, oh, you're a girl, you're always going to be a girl, rather than listening to these people
That's just
and
bad
helping
parenting
them.
in general.
Right.
Like, my question to you, Bill, and kind of what the caller, I don't remember her name was.
The funny stop.
Oh, that's where you're
That's where
performing?
I'm gonna be
Okay, well, I think that's what she was choosing. Yeah.
Tomorrow and Saturday.
Yes, that's it.
No, well, because I think what she was getting to, where you say whose choice is it when the person in question is 16.
Right.
That person is still a minor.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we barely trust 16-year-olds to drive. To
Correct.
make a huge life decision like transitioning your gender.
Yeah.
And then if that is left up to the parent, that's got to be terrifying for you.
Yeah,
Because,
I mean,
what
it
if
was.
you do say, hey, I love you.
Yeah.
This is what you want. I trust you. And then 5 years later, they're like, I was a child. How did you let me do that?
That's what
you
I
know
was
what I
talking
mean?
about.
And that
Right.
happens.
And that does happen.
That's hard. That's got to be
It's incredibly
terrifying.
hard.
And
But it's one of those things where it's up to each person. And so Jace did end up getting top surgery a couple years ago. So I think he was 19 when he did it.
Mm-hmm.
And again, a lot of appointments went into that. And he is incredibly happy with his decision. I know some people don't feel that way.
Mm-hmm.
But from our experience, he was very happy with it, and it was the right decision. And so he's almost 21 now, and he's
almost 21 already?
I know, right?
God.
Yeah.
I think sometimes callers like her associate it with kind of what you touched on, Alan, where it's like, this isn't going to fix all your mental health issues. Like when a girl goes through a breakup and goes and gets a haircut.
Yeah.
Like you're not just trying to process through something so you change your gender. Like
Right.
that's not really.
And that's not exactly, I mean, there's the mental health issues that he had or has, but it's also, a lot of it comes down to, I don't feel like I'm in the right body. So when they say, I don't feel like I'm in the right body, and you go, and you ignore that aspect of it, you can't even get to other things that they're feeling.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you have to just have some empathy and be like, oh, I never even had a thought that I was in the wrong body.
Yeah.
And
I've never even experienced that.
You put yourself in their shoes for a second, and it's just completely mind-boggling. To like, I can't fathom that feeling. But he has had it his entire life.
Yeah.
And it's putting it into words and being able to feel loved and go through that process with support was the most important part. And there's so many people that don't want to do that with people. They just want to write things off and use all these different examples of how it's going too far and this and that. There are probably examples like that where it's gone too far or it's been taken place too hastily. I don't know about that, but what I do know is that you can approach the subject with care and with love rather than try and write it off as these people don't exist and don't deserve to have their feelings verified.
Hey, Cody.
Yeah.
What's up?
Hey, what's up? First time calling.
Get off speakerphone, Cody.
Hey, are you on speakerphone?
No.
Okay.
I just put them in my car.
Cody, hello. Yes.
I was just curious. Like, I agree with. I'm more conservative, I guess you could say. I lean more towards that way.
Yep.
I am a Trump supporter. But I'm curious, like, because my girlfriend's son, we've been together 14 years. He came out to me. Same thing with Bill. You know, he's not. I wouldn't say he's trans. He doesn't call himself, a female or anything like that. But I think it's both sides. Everybody always wants to put it towards the conservatives that we're the ones that say this and that, and it's not really like that.
Well, they're the ones making all the laws, Cody.
Even with the Democrats in power?
Well, they're not state to state. These are
state to state.
State to state. There are a lot of Democrat governors that have a Republican legislature, like in Kentucky. Not much they can do.
Right.
Not talking about federal, talking about state to state.
Right. Yeah, and like I said, I agree with a lot of stuff. There's no reason they should be put down for that, for what they want to be in life. But I also don't agree, and I don't know what the last caller was talking about. There's never been a surgery on a kid. But I also don't agree with growth hormones, for underage kids, because how many kids want to be a firefighter when they grow up? And then that changes, and they're nowhere near a firefighter. So I don't agree with that.
But it's not. But they don't start taking that until they're in their teenage years, and also, it's in most cases those hormones are reversible.
Yeah.
By the way, there's hormones in food.
I took growth hormones as a kid.
Yeah.
I had to take it because I had a growth deficiency. So I was prescribed human growth hormone just so that I could grow. So, I mean, there's different things. And like to say that my parents wouldn't be able to do that is similar.
Yeah. I agree with that.
Okay, listen, thank you, Cody. I appreciate the call. There's Cody and Maslin. I've got to take a break.
Dynamic.
What's that?
That was dynamic.
If you